This is Jocko Podcast number 60 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo.
Good evening.
What I am about to relate is anything but a pleasant story. In fact, it is so very unpleasant that I cannot recommend anyone without a strong stomach to read it. For it is a story of such crime and horror as to almost be unbelievable. The story of depredations of a horde of degraded criminals, of incredible bestiality on a peaceful, kindly, law-abiding people. I believe it has no parallel in modern history. And that is a warning that was written by a man by the name of George Finch, who was an American in the city of Nanking, China. He was working for the YMCA in 1937 when the Imperial Japanese Army invaded. And I'm going to tell you that that warning is not strong enough. And I know that many of you listen to this podcast with your children. And I'm going to tell you right now, this podcast, this episode, is not for children. This episode is barely even for adults. And I'm sure that some of you will not make it through this podcast. And I almost decided not to do it. This podcast, this episode is going to review a book called The Rape of Nanking by an author by the name of Iris Chang. And part of the reason that I decided that I had to cover this book is because of the story that follows the story. And that is of Iris Chang, the author, a bright, beautiful, intelligent, successful, and loving woman who was consumed by darkness. And I will discuss her fate in a book that was written by her mother, Ying Chang, in a book called The Woman Who Could Not Forget. And what happened in the city of Nanking is, it is beyond darkness. It is beyond evil. It is pure savagery. Wanton savagery of the highest order. And part of me thinks maybe it's best if it is forgotten. Maybe that's the best way to prevent it from happening again. But part of me knows that that is wrong. And the only way to learn is to study and to understand. And to try and banish this from our memories, to me, that leaves a door. Leaves a door open for something like this to happen again somewhere, sometime. But I want to warn you again that there are parts of this episode that are extremely graphic. And I didn't put it all in there, but I absolutely wanted people to understand that this is what happened. And I feel compelled to discuss it. For For one, for Iris Chang, who, in my mind, sacrificed everything to tell this story, to help ensure that those who suffered are remembered. And also to ensure that the human race at large has the knowledge, has the warning that evil exists, and that mankind is capable of becoming engulfed in that evil. And that man can act without mercy or remorse or the slightest shred of humanity at all.